We're hearing people get cease and desist letters from Broadcom when it's like, dang, we didn't see that one coming. VMware Broadcom customers, they're in that spot where they can't pay for a new setup at this stage, but also they can't, pay 3 times as much. What do you do if you're in that spot?
It's been the biggest fear after we've taken them from VMware to Hyper-V. Mm-hmm. They've realized it's not that different.
All right, how's it going? It is Jay and Michael on the IT Directors Podcast, powered by Clearwinds, and we have our main guy, Coy, here. How you doing, Coy?
I'm groovy, man. How are you?
Man, groovy. I like it.
Fantastic. Coy, what is your title, position? What do you hold at Clearwinds?
Senior engineer. When I came in as a senior. I was a senior engineer and director. So.
Okay. Yeah, and the man, he introduced himself as being in a groovy mood, so... Yeah. In the tone of groovy, tell us about yourself.
Not much to say. I've been doing IT and engineering for probably 3/4 of my life.
Okay.
So outside of that, it's just music and family and kids.
Okay.
So that's me.
Yes, sir.
Nutshell.
Fantastic. Well, look, we're going to be talking about hypervisors today with Coy and the different flavors of hypervisor, the different vendors, VMware, Nutanix, and Microsoft. And so, Coy, we'll go ahead and get started. I mean, VMware has been the most industry standard one, over the last 10 or 15 years. So tell us a little bit about VMware and some of the features and the differences between VMware, Nutanix, and Microsoft.
Right. So VMware has always been like the Cadillac. It's been the gold standard for virtualization. Wasn't the first to come out, but it took over and became the standard. You had anything from small business to, like we were saying a minute ago, Fortune 500 companies. That was what they used. Microsoft was always in the background. Microsoft had their hypervisor, which was still a kind of an astute hypervisor, but it didn't have the ease of use. It didn't have the patching. It didn't have the upgrade paths that VMware had. Nutanix, I've been using Nutanix for over 10 years. Nutanix, when they came out, they were a all-in-one, they used their hardware, their OS, and their hypervisor. And the benefits to that was you needed a package, you bought it, you got it, you plugged it in, it worked. Support on Nutanix in the past was lacking. Support has gotten considerably better. Nutanix is now doing a hardware agnostic operating system where you can use Dell, HP, IBM, anything. You don't have to stick to one. If like we're a Dell shop, they had a list of Dell supported hardware. Now, the downfall to that is you're limited to the list of their supported hardware, which tends to be the last 2 generations of what's come out at this point. Main critical difference in Nutanix versus Microsoft and VMware. Nutanix is designed to be a hyperconverge. Hyperconverge means your storage is on board with your host.
Thank you for breaking that down for people like me.
Yeah, that's kind of the simplest way to put it. They are a hyperconverge. That being said, we've proven and we've designed out and we've spec'd out, you can use it with shared storage, just like you do with VMware. Mm-hmm. Now, the support for the shared storage is partially there. So Nutanix has worked a deal with Dell. Dell is producing Nutanix hardware. Dell storage is supported. If you have older Dell storage, if you have HP storage, if you have some of these other storage providers, they're going to say it's not supported. But that's where, support and compatibility comes into play. Microsoft, if it runs Microsoft Windows, you can pretty much make a Hyper-V out of it, And Hyper-V has to be matching. Would I use Hyper-V on a very large company with a lot of VMs? Absolutely not. Can you? Yes. It's just not preferred. If you get into that size, that's where you force yourself back into the realm of VMware. VMware is still the Cadillac. It's still the gold standard. If you've got multiple VMs, I would say 40 and up, I would seriously look at VMware.
Well, and even so, I'll even take a step back in big picture. So, elephant in the room, everybody's heard Broadcom.
Oh, yeah.
Broadcom, VMware. From my seat, what I've seen, we work with a bunch of different companies.
Right.
They are all scratching their heads because they're in a position where, this acquisition has happened and they are not in there's a lot of people out there that are not in a position to consider using their environment the same way in which they had. So
Correct.
they're trying to find alternatives. So like we're even having people that we've worked with, they just financially can't make that jump. So they're looking at alternatives, trying to find ways to make it work. And, we're hearing people get cease and desist letters from Broadcom when it's like, dang, that's a little, didn't see that one coming.
I tell you, Coy, and I agree, Michael, what you're saying about that. The whole pricing structure, the whole business model's changed a lot for VMware, Broadcom now.
Right.
Even resellers.
Resellers. I mean, they've cut so many resellers out of the mix. They have their preferred list at this point.
I think as a retired IT director with 25 years, I've been a VMware guy since the conception, right? I remember getting certified in like VMware 3 or 4 or whatever it was way back in the day. And so we ran VMware with the Birmingham, and we had, I had blade chassis. My license was huge, and then I did a hyper-converged system.
Right.
And it's exciting because I think that's where Nutanix is really got a great niche is with the hyper-converged, Coy.
And the benefit, and I'm going to say a massive benefit with Nutanix is with Nutanix AOC, which is their version like Prism. So in VMware, you have vCenter as your centralized unit. You have Prism inside of Nutanix. Nutanix allows for Hyper-V host to be brought in, Nutanix host, VMware host. You can still bring everything in. If you're licensed and you have a certain amount of license for VMware host, you can still bring that into a Nutanix cluster. You can still manage it equally. You lose some of your features. You can't traditionally fail directly over from Nutanix to VMware or Nutanix to Hyper-V, but you can still manage, patch, and move machines between them. Microsoft, which tends to be the direction most small to medium are heading, which we've seen, the conversion from VMware to, Hyper-V is fairly simple if they have something like Veeam. We'll do a backup and then restore from Veeam straight to Hyper-V. Now, the thing that you've got to watch with Hyper-V, you can't just say, okay, I've got 3 hosts. I'm going to use these 3 hosts and go to Hyper-V. You have to balance out and load out and make sure, because the specs, something that ran on ESXi may take more resources in a Hyper-V.
Microsoft, right?
Because it's Microsoft.
Not a kernel, not a Linux kernel.
It's not a true Linux kernel. You've got a true Linux kernel in Nutanix. Everything is based off Ubuntu. That is your core load. So,
quit saying them cuss words to us.
yeah. But backup, just as important as your hypervisor is your backup. You look at compatibility. Nutanix just signed a deal with Veeam. Veeam is a preferred backup for Nutanix. Veeam is a preferred backup for, VMware and Broadcom. And now HPE's hypervisor is now preferred, and it's all built into Veeam now. So,
Coy, you mentioned Veeam, and it's interesting. I know we're talking about hypervisor, Michael, but the hypervisor and the backup infrastructure goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
So I was a Veeam customer from the conception. We had Veeam probably 13 years, and it was super small when I first got it. And I love it. I mean, it was like backup for dummies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best backup software I ever had. And and it worked hand to hand with VMware. But you said it was really interesting how they have partnered with all the other different hypervisors.
Yes.
But I never could find anything where the Microsoft Hyper-V was.
It is part of Veeam.
Yeah.
So, and I think Veeam is predominantly, if you're using Hyper-V, that is your backup solution.
Yeah.
I mean, because, Microsoft, they got rid of their backup. For a while, they went to Backup Exec.
Yeah.
And then it just, it all rolled into Veeam. There are other options, but, restoring from Broadcom's VMware straight to Hyper-V or straight to Nutanix is a benefit for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were looking at hypervisors and comparing, does it have Veeam compatibility?
Yeah.
What is their primary backup?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Veeam's a great software, Michael. It really is.
Well, in my seat, I keep saying this. That's because, hey, I wasn't a previous IT director. I've been in sales, been in the IT industry for 6 years. I don't have the knowledge base you guys have, but what I do, I would network with a lot of different businesses, organizations, all kind of sizes. So what was it, if you could nutshell it for me, why was VMware so great?
VMware was so great, ease of use, their product support from, not at the time, Broadcom. It's changed a lot. It used to be you had an issue. If you had a support package, you called, you had an engineer within an hour.
Yeah.
There have been times lately we've called with a Sev1 issue. We didn't have a response for 5-6 hours.
What type of issue?
Say you had a host down, or say you had a crashed VM, or you had a storage issue.
Which could be like catastrophic outages for some.
It can be, yeah. And, if I think about some of the places I've worked or worked with, if they're down more than 5 to 10 minutes, it is a severe issue. Telling somebody they've got to be down for 6 hours waiting for support. The benefit, and I'm going to say this, Nutanix swears by, if you have an issue, you have a onshore immediate response. And you typically, with Nutanix and HPE and some of these others, because they are so new in what they're doing now, you have an assigned engineer almost.
Which is great. Kind of like, Coy, you remember, and Michael, I know you worked with Dell and been a huge partner like Compellent.
Oh, yeah.
Before Compellent was bought by Dell.
Right.
Copilot, the Copilot support.
yeah.
I loved it, man. I got the same guy in
You
Minnesota.
had the same engineer because they worked on that same model.
Yeah.
You almost have a regional engineer. Anybody in that region would get that engineer. So,
Which is a huge benefit for Nutanix, in my opinion.
And that was one of the things that we looked at heavily when we were choosing Nutanix as something we wanted to, work with and focus on, was how quick are we getting responses? Do we have direct engineer numbers? And Nutanix gives you a direct number to most of the engineers. You still open a ticket, but you can get an engineer if you need.
Okay.
So,
I mean, from your professional experience, it sounds like, what you do at Clearwinds, you don't really care if it's, Hyper-V, VMware, Nutanix. It's the best fit for that customer,
it's the best fit for the customer is what you look at. Because a lot of times it's like their hardware may be new, right? But their hardware may not be a good fit to leave Broadcom and go to Nutanix. Nutanix has a very tight list right now. It'll function, but they may not support that hardware.
And that's an unfortunate thing that I've seen is, hey, you've got some, VMware Broadcom customers. They're just not able to
drop in and drop for a whole new setup.
And so they're in that spot where they can't pay for a new setup at this stage, and also they can't pay whether it's 3 times as much as it was with the whatever license type they had.
Right.
And so, what do you do if you're in that spot? Because I know a lot of our listeners are trying to understand.
That's a great question, Michael, to be honest with you.
That's when you sit down and you have to seriously look at, are you truly sized correctly with your VMs? Are you overcommitted? Do you have too much memory commit to a machine that's only using 15 to 20% of those resources? You size everything properly, and then you look at your hardware and say, okay, can I run what I need to run on the hardware that I have?
Have you, in kind of looking at reviews, have you found people that are not sized? Okay.
We have, and we've made size adjustments. We've reduced memory. In some cases, had to increase memory. We have tools, which you've run. I'm sure most of our people that are watching have run. We have tools that review every aspect of the virtual environment that's there. It tells you in the last 6 months or the last year, how many times has this server hit a threshold? How many times has it never even hit 30 or 40%? And we can look at those numbers and size properly. So based on Nutanix has a tool. You take that tool, you load it into their designer, and it tells you, this is how many hosts you truly need. This is what you really need to run on it. And we can take that and compare it to what they have and say, okay, we can do something with what you've got, or you're going to need new host and new storage.
Are you seeing cost savings when you're taking that approach?
We have. I don't want to mention any clients, but in the last 2 weeks, we've done 2 conversions for clients, and they've both gone smooth. One of them bought new hardware, but not for their whole. They bought new hardware for one location, recycled hardware for the other.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like, okay, for what you're doing, you knew you needed new hardware. You knew support was coming up in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
You're going to be end of life anyway. Go ahead and get new hardware. We've had other local schools that had hardware that was perfectly adequate. We looked at the support. We extended support on it. We found out when their end of life on their hardware was going to be, and we were able to get them another 3 to 4 years out of the hardware they had, convert them to Hyper-V.
Yeah.
And they've run great.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Michael, as Coy was talking, and you were talking about how you structure them for your customers and the position that a lot of people are in, Michael, like you said, they can't even afford to buy the license and much less repurpose hardware or buy new hardware. So have you seen customers shift into cloud like, AWS and, Microsoft,
We've seen some. I know outside of our clients, I know of people that have been going to cloud, but even cloud is starting to increase in price. It depends on who you're looking at. If you're looking at Amazon or if you're looking at Azure with Microsoft, there are good cloud options. But to look at, if it was a super small place, if they only had 2 or 3 servers, a domain controller, a file server, something like that, cloud would be perfect. If you're running specific software, which we have a lot of clients that are using homegrown software. They're using specific applications. They're not really cloud compatible, the way they communicate, the way they work.
No, and you answered just how I was thinking you were, because I think, Michael, a lot of people, they get the sticker shock like, oh, man, I can't pay 10X.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't buy, $400,000 worth of a new VxRail or whatever the case may be. And then let's go to cloud. Well, then they go to cloud, and the cloud is 10X as well.
Right.
So it's really, you got to plan and make those investments. And I think, Coy, you have really broken down all the different virtualization platforms. I mean, it's pretty interesting about Nutanix, listen to you talk about a lot of the benefits of Nutanix. Hyper-V I gathered for small environments.
Small to medium.
I don't want to get the blue screen of death on all my servers I'm hosting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and then for VMware, it's been the rock solid workhorse for years. But man, with that pricing model, it makes it tough for customers.
And you're talking about compatibility between the 3. If we're just talking those 3. VMware, you can run Mac OS, Linux OS, and Windows.
Yeah.
Nutanix, you look at Nutanix can run all 3 as well. That is one limitation with Microsoft. Microsoft Hyper-V is predominantly a Windows environment. If you're a customer that has a predominant Windows environment, it's perfect. You can run Linux, but you're not going to have support for Linux. They don't support a problem you may have.
That is a great point, Michael, that Coy just brought up. And I like a real world scenario, with VoIP systems, with Cisco Call Manager. They're all Linux machines. And they have like the templates you can download, they're Linux, whatever. But they don't support any of that in Hyper-V, and which makes it a little tough.
It does run, and it runs well. Yeah. I mean, 2 of the schools we did, I mean, they're running, one of them is running Ruckus, Smart Zone. And it's running, a Linux-based phone system. It runs, but truly they don't support it.
Yeah, so something happens. They're like, we're not helping you.
You're going to have to figure it out, or we're going to have to figure it out. It's not going to be something Microsoft can work with us to. And I'm not saying they won't try, but it's not a supported product. So you have to look at models like that. If you're running a 80, 90% Microsoft environment, Hyper-V, for a small business is, what you're probably looking for. If you're a major corporation, with multiple locations, Broadcom is probably going to be where you're going to want to stay. Everything you get, you can combine state to state to state under one hypervisor, or, I'm going to call it hypervisor manager, but, vCenter is what's going to be the safest bet there, especially patching, pushing, and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good overview.
It is. I'll tell you, Michael, I think our listeners and viewers are going to love this episode because this is such a hot topic right now. And a lot of IT directors, like myself, all I ever used was VMware, right? I mean, ever. Like we went from rack-mounted servers to VMware. And so a lot of people don't even know where to go and how to navigate. And that's where they can reach out to Coy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been the biggest fear that people, after it's done, after we've taken them from VMware to Hyper-V, they've realized it's not that different. Things look similar, things act similar. You still vMotion the same way. You still make templates the same way. You just don't get all the bells and whistles.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great to be in a position to where you can be a consultant who can help people because it's clear there's a problem. There's been transition in the market. And I've had too many conversations with people where, I mean, I'm on this side of, working at Clearwinds, but I can feel their pain. We've got nonprofits that we've worked with that have, been shut down because they can't afford it. We've had, colleges, higher ed, K-12, like different groups that have all been impacted. And I think the key point is like, hey, you're not alone. There's people who can help. There are options. It's an unfortunate thing, but hey, there are paths you can take to make sure that, hey,
you can keep running.
Keep running.
Yeah.
Well, look, man, Coy, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
It's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, we got to have Coy back because his wealth of knowledge, I think we could go into a lot of a more detailed around the virtualization and the backup. We need to do a show about the backup infrastructure tied to virtualization.
Well, and then too, I know, hey, if there's people out there who've got questions, like, hey, you can send us some questions. We can get it by this groovy man. Who can get those answers for you.
Yeah. Well, look, go follow us on social media. Go follow us on X and look us up clearwinds.net. And we are glad that you joined us today. And so this is Michael and Jay signing off with IT Podcast. Hey, thanks for joining us today on the IT Directors Podcast. We're so glad you joined us. Look, go follow us on all social media platforms. The IT Directors Podcast powered by Clearwinds. And look, if you want more information, check out our website, clearwinds.net. We're going to have show notes, special guest bios. We're going to have reels. Our marketing team has done a fantastic job. Go check this out. We're so thankful that you joined us today.